All right, everybody, welcome into Pickaxe and Roll, brought to you by our good friends over at Superbook Sports. I'm your host, Ryan Blackburn, at NBA Blackburn on Twitter, part of the Mile High Sports Podcast Network, and I am excited to be joined by my guy, Swipa, on the other side. We're doing a little bit of a late Weekends with Swipa episode. I needed a little bit of a delay from yesterday, but Swipa and I have got a lot of content coming out over the course of this next week. And there's plenty of individual videos you're going to want to be tapped into. You're going to want to know. So make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. That would be absolutely essential to finding all of our content. Swipa, how you doing, my guy?
Good, man. This has been a good weekend. Good Easter. Happy Easter. Happy Resurrection Day to all who celebrate. And it was a really, really fun weekend. A lot of NBA basketball, a lot of great games, some game winners, a lot of MVP talk that's happening around the league right now. So this is going to be a really, really fun conversation. I can't wait to get into it.
Going to be a lot of fun. We've got plenty of things to get into. Also, today is April Fool's Day. I didn't plan anything for April Fool's Day. Did you? Did you have some stuff that you wanted to get off your chest for April Fool's Day today?
No, but I will say this. I'll say this. It's a serious note. It is a serious note. I do want to shout out Vontae Davis. Was found unresponsive in his house or apartment. So obviously praying for the Davis family. Vernon Davis was a Super Bowl 50 champion with the Denver Broncos. That's his younger brother. Obviously, just a really tragic situation, and just want to make sure that anybody that's struggling with anything at all, and you need assistance, need help, need to talk to somebody, make sure you do that, please. There's some outlets and stuff for you, but shout out to Vontae. Obviously, really, really good player, really good person too. So, just sad to hear about it.
Dynamic player, dynamic cornerback. He's one of the best in the NFL for a while. So it's really sad to see. And like, you never want to see this stuff like that. So yeah, hopefully the entire Davis family is doing okay. And hopefully they're getting the help that they need. All right. Let's get into it. On that note, let's get into what happened yesterday for the Denver Nuggets. I think we'll kick things off with a discussion on what happened in Denver's game yesterday versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. They win 130-101. A wild kind of blowout performance. I don't know if you saw this from me yesterday, Swipa. I was like, man, lack of perimeter shooting. That's really going to hurt Denver, I think.
I definitely saw.
Really going to be tough. Not sure how they're going to handle it.
You and your pessimistic tweets. I'm just like, the game hasn't even started, Ryan. Can you give them an opportunity to play?
I mean, it's funny because like I don't always want to take. I'm not going to take credit for a reverse jinx on that one because I'm literally just sharing my thoughts on that. Like I thought it was going to be a lot of the same, if I'm being honest, on the T-Wolves game, but instead, Denver shoots 21 of 33 from three-point range. That is wild to think about. That's their best shooting game of the season by far. And I couldn't believe it, frankly. They just made everything. Reggie Jackson goes 5 of 5. KCP goes 6 of 9. Michael Porter goes 3 of 5. Christian Brown goes 2 of 3. He even hit a corner three. He's been shooting like 20% from three on the season. What'd you take away from Denver's hot shooting stretch?
Yeah, I took away Kentavious Caldwell-Pope going absolutely bananas. I'm talking about moving to the right, DHO three-pointers kinds of bananas. Man. KCP yesterday, 22 points, 6 of 9 from 3, 1 of 2 or 1 of 1 from 2. He had a 101.1% true shooting, and he was a plus 35 in 35 minutes.
That's disgusting.
A plus 35 in 35 minutes, man. KCP is going to get some all-defense love this year. I think there's been a lot of motion behind it. I don't know if he gets it because the guard spot is going to be really stacked. And Boston's going to have 2 of them again. Go ahead.
They are doing the positionless for not just all NBA, but all defensive, all rookie, things like that. It's all positionless now.
Exactly. So now add all the bigs in there. So Victor, Rudy, AD, Wimben, all that stuff. Bam. So add that in, and then add Tatum, add Jaden McDaniels, add Alex Caruso, Drew Holiday, Derek White. I don't know if he has a name brand that's going to carry enough weight for him to win and get one of those teams. Unfortunately, I think he deserves it. He's been incredible, and I feel like many of us have been shouting it out all year so far. But unfortunately, he doesn't wear green and white and had the aura of Boston Celtics behind him.
Or purple and gold, if we're being honest. Like
purple and
he
gold.
used to wear purple and gold. That would be it would have like that. He would be getting a better push, I would say, if he was putting up the exact same defensive season for a team like the Lakers or the Celtics, as you mentioned. But yeah, it's tough. Like he has been so good, and The offense, I think, was a drastic difference yesterday
Yeah,
because in the Minnesota game, he had 0 points. He
right,
wasn't taking any shots. Denver
right.
needed that spacing, and they just didn't get it from him. And then in this last one, not only does he defend Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland extremely well, those guys had really, really bad games,
Yeah.
but he also shoots 6 of 9 from 3 and is making these fall away like DHO threes, as you mentioned. Just a really nice game from KCP. I'm glad you started with that.
Yeah, I think some of this though is that the Nuggets, that Timberwolves game, you saw Jaden McDaniels after the game, which said, "Hey, we think we're the better team," which they should think that. But they said Jaden McDaniels said we knew we could get the number one spot if we win this game. The Nuggets did not approach that game with the energy that's like, okay, let's go take care of business type deal. It just wasn't like that. And I
It
think
is
the
funny
Nuggets,
because Malone approached it that way.
yeah,
He was like, "Come on, guys, this means a lot for me," except for playing like Peyton Watson at the 5, or was that was against the Suns? But like, the rotations were kind of funny, and I do agree with you that the players it was a different level of intensity
yeah.
between where they were in both
Well,
games.
he said that last year. Remember they lost to Houston when the starters lost their minutes. The bench was winning their minutes. And that was one of those games where I was like, bro, please just take Jokic out and Murray and them. Please just play with the second unit.
That game was funny.
But they lost, and Malone said a similar thing. Like, I'm not telling them to do this. We need to play harder. And they're like, we're playing the Raptors, we're playing the Spurs, we're playing the Rockets, we're playing Detroit. No, I'm not. I'm good. That's not going to happen. And this game, the Cleveland game was so funny because before the game, I was like, no Jamal again. They don't need to win this game. Oh, there's a freaking bee in my house, bro. From
There's a B.
outside. Yeah, bro. So got in.
There's
There's
a
a
B.
bee. There's a bee that got in the house. I need to open up the door for him to get out. Hold on. Let me open up the door.
Okay.
Save me,
Yeah,
chat.
no, I
Save me,
got you.
chat.
There's a bee. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. You could see it in the reflection of his poster. That's hilarious. Uh, we'll see if that actually happens or that comes to pass or not. But no, it's interesting, obviously, folks. Like Jokic brought a lot of intensity on the defensive end in the second half, especially, but first half he wasn't great. But Denver still found ways to be really good through that entire game on both ends of the floor. Only allowing 101 to the Cavs is a really good sign. And scoring 130 points. Denver hasn't scored that many points that often this year because they don't play at such a fast pace. They very rarely get up into those high numbers anymore because they are playing at one of the slowest paces in the NBA. So it was a dynamic offensive game, and it really helps when you open up the floor and you've got some of that vertical spacing with Michael Porter and KCP and Reggie Jackson. We got to talk about Reggie Jackson because Reggie Jackson goes 5 of 5 from 3. And
yes, sir.
Man.
Yes, sir.
You get that, B?
I got it out and didn't have to kill it.
Oh, good for you.
We already,
humanitarian Swipa who was feeding the poor before this podcast.
If you all didn't know, bees are dwindling. Bee numbers around the world have dwindled. Do you know that 2/3 of the veggies and fruits that you consume, they're pollinated by bees? And so you don't want to hurt them. The bee flew out on its own accord. Praise the Lord. Sorry for interrupting.
I was just talking up Reggie because he goes 5 of 5, and he wasn't necessarily on the floor for all of the runs that Denver made, but in the interim minutes, and like he only played 23, but he shot 5 of 5 from 3. It was just nice to see him get that spacing back again and looking really good from a shooting perspective. Was nice to see because he had really struggled over the course of the last 5 to 10 games or so.
Look, I said this yesterday. Reggie, the biggest thing about him, if he plays at 80% of what he was, and I didn't say 100, 80%, Ryan, I feel like that just changes the narrative for them off the bench. Because if he's able to be a quality shooter, hit his pull-up shots, and defensively, he's not going to be great. But look, if we're in a situation where he's able to take care of his business and like hit some of those open shots, that's the kind of stuff that matters for Reggie Jackson. Can you hit open shots at a 39? Like if you went to the playoff run, and I told you Reggie averaged 12, 2, and 3.5. and shot 46, 39, 81. How would you feel about that?
46, 39, 81 is a great split. Like 39 from 3 would be amazing. That would be a big, big deal for Denver because so much of what they need is not just like because he's not going to be a high volume guy. He's going to be you've got to be middle volume kind of like if you could get up into those higher efficiency numbers, that gives Denver the margin that they need.
Yeah, and again, some of this is, he's a veteran, so hopefully he's like taking his time to like settle in a little bit, and then once the playoffs start, he's able to like to really lean into, playing physical and being ready to lock in. Because yesterday, Jokic and him got in a little spirited debate because Reggie wasn't where he was supposed to be.
Mm. So, and Reggie apologized for that. Not apologized, but he said that was on me after the game.
He did a chest pat. Like when Ryan messes up something on the show and doesn't follow up with the alley-oop that I throw him, he goes, or when me and Ryan are out at a bar together, I throw Ryan an alley-oop out and he misses.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I got you next time.
That happens all the time, doesn't it?
I got you next time.
All the time. I'll get it next time.
But yeah, man, I definitely hope genuinely for the Colorado kid, man, that he's able to go on a nice run this year, because if he does, man, I think it's going to make the Nuggets that much better.
It's curtains because like Denver has so many stabilizers. They have so many guys that are like always going to be pretty consistently good, especially with their defense and with their effort. KCP, AG, even like to a degree, Christian Brown and Peyton Watson, you know what they're going to bring on the defensive end on a consistent basis. They're going to be impactful there. With Reggie, he is sort of a higher variance option and gives Denver some good stuff that they need, but also can be bad and also can be not debilitating, but can kind of take away from what Denver does. So if he were to have a great game like that or like a great playoff run, maybe he's one of those guys that's just a difference maker in a playoff series, then that would be a big, big deal. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. Yesterday was a really, really great start.
5 of 5, just and then that corner when he had that was contested where Jokic was posting up, hand on the right and on the ball, like he was looking for the ball on his right hand, and Reggie was like, splash.
If he can hit those shots, man, that's going to be a big deal because he'll give it up most of the time. But
let me ask you this real quick. So I theorized, speculated, put your thinking glasses on, Mile High Sports. That what if, because the Nuggets up to a point this year, Ryan, they were number 1 in effective field goal percentage.
Yeah.
And their offense was absolutely humming. And then they kind of settled into the season a little bit. And it was like the air kind of left the balloon. And then they picked it back up post All-Star break, 16-4.
Yep.
What if, Ryan, the Nuggets, their shooting drop they had middle of the season was more given there was around the fact that they were like playing from the NBA Finals, started the season off really well, and then got kind of tired, and then picked the momentum up after the All-Star game. What if they're in a situation where they are able to go back into the playoffs and get their shooting back to where it was, and their defense stays about where it's been, or it's going to get better, but their defense obviously gets better because it's half court. Right. What if they go back to having the most effective shooting offense in the playoffs again? Like, what do you think? What difference?
I mean, at that point, it's curtains because they have better defensive personnel, I think. Like post All-Star break here, even including Minnesota, even including Phoenix, Denver's 3rd in the NBA in EFG percentage.
57? Is it 57?
They are at 57.8. You're right.
Yep.
Boston's at 59.6. The Lakers are at 58.2.
Their offense been cooking since January 1st.
Lakers been doing pretty good. I love what Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell have provided for them. And LeBron hits 9 threes in a game. Like, that's going to really help.
Yeah.
But I do think that for Denver, so much of it is, especially like pre-All-Star break, if I just go to the pre-All-Star numbers instead, Denver was at 14th as opposed to 3rd. They were down to 55.4. So even with the NBA becoming more physical, even with the NBA becoming less about, like, you can be a little bit more physical, you're not going to give up as many free throws, Denver's effective field goal percentage has been better. They've been more focused. Jokic said that. And I think that it's really borne out. Denver knows where their shots are going to come from, and they've been very diligent about getting the ball to Jokic and putting him into positions to create and succeed for the entire team.
And I think that's what some of this stuff about, we talked about, we're going to have a video dropping about, this week of the biggest threats to the Nuggets. And there's a defensive-led team that we're going to talk about in that video where that's where my point comes from. I don't think that if the Nuggets are shooting well, then it doesn't matter about your defense because they're shooting well around the perimeters and the soft spots of your defense in the drop coverage on a rotation. And then contested shooters, Jokic and Murray and MPJ have all shown to be elite contested shooters. And I think, me and Matt talked about this. The Nuggets only have 4 elite shooters on their team.
Yeah.
And they're all in the starting lineup. So that's the thing. The Nuggets don't have like a bevy of shooters. But what changed last year, Aaron Gordon shot 39% from 3. That was one of the big changes was like, all right, the juice picked up. The juice is loose, as some used to say. And eventually he was just able to start making some of those corner 3-pointers. And so if Gordon, he's shooting 50%, 48%, something now on right corner threes, like if he sticks to a sweet spot, kind of gets rid of some of those pull-up transition threes, and he's hit some of them. He hit one in the finals. But if he's hitting at like a decent clip on some of those, man, like, again, if he shoots 35% from 3 again, that's what I mean. Like, it's just little things in variance. Like if the ball bounces in the Nuggets' way on some of their tertiary performers as shooters, that's when it becomes dangerous for them and them working through a finals run.
Unfortunately, right now, Aaron Gordon shooting 26.8% on pull-up threes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Not
I
a great
don't know why
number.
he keeps shooting them. No idea why he keeps shooting them.
Yeah. He'll have to keep shooting, like, because the time is going to come when he hits one in the playoffs or he hits a couple in the playoffs, and it's going
can
to
you imagine?
Series.
Yesterday, the Cavs, that was really what broke them, is that Aaron Gordon had a right corner 3, and they had a scouting report. They know what he's shooting across the board, and he just absolutely nailed it, and you just saw Cavs. Just,
well, that's the thing is, like, Aaron Gordon's actually a great right corner 3-point shooter.
Right.
Like, it's like 50% from that corner, which is insane because quite literally everywhere else he is not good.
Right.
But hey, credit to him and credit to the Nuggets for finding him.
Find your spot on the court sometimes, man.
Yeah, like it's.
Do you think Jokic's dumper? Do you expect it to go back up to where it's been the last couple of years? Because he's had a shooting regression as a whole on the year so far in the regular season. Do you think it picks back up in the playoffs?
Yes, because he'll be more rested. One of the things that like has really stood out for him: 72 out of 75 games. He's played a very high number of games. He's played a heavy burden, like carried a heavy load, obviously. And I think that will change in the playoffs after he gets a week off. After they like, if Denver especially kind of shuts it down in the last couple games, like I think he'll get some more time.
Yeah, I especially think it's mid range because he was percolating. Remember, he had that 13-game sample size where he missed what? He had shooting 81%, 82% or something like that.
Yeah.
From the field.
Oh yeah. No, that was like games 20 to 30 or somewhere around there.
Right.
Does that sound right?
He's had the most. So that's why when people are like, he hadn't done anything this year. It's like he had literally the most effective volume scoring stretch in NBA history at one point in time this season. And then he just decided, okay, cool it off. So that's the thing. If Jokic, man, like, even versus the Wolves, his numbers haven't been great, but he still played really well versus the Wolves in the 3 games he played versus them this year. Like, but again, it's the efficient.
Discount the second game because that one doesn't really count. Like,
well, they can't discount it. Like it just is a part of basketball. They didn't have their dudes. The Nuggets didn't have their dudes. That's basketball. Like the first one was on the second night of a back-to-back. This next one, the time they play, it's going to be on the second night of a back-to-back.
First one was not on a second night of a back-to-back.
Well, that was the Kings game rather. But this game that they're about to play, both teams are coming off back-to-back. But I don't think the Nuggets played a starters in that first one personally because they're playing versus like. It's
going to be interesting. I'm curious to see whether they actually will, but we can get to that in a later segment. Right. Anything else on the Cavs matchup?
No, it was great. Shout out to them. Donovan Mitchell, hope he gets healthy. He's been dealing with some stuff a little bit, but yeah, definitely. I was surprised that they got that win and very happy to see them get it.
Yeah, no, it certainly helped. And with the loss that the T-Wolves immediately incurred to Chicago, Denver jumped back in front of them for a brief amount of time. I still think that it's most likely that Denver gets the 3 as opposed to the 1 or the 2, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to chat about a variety of things, including are the Nuggets ready for the playoffs? Are they actually ready? And what do they need to do to get ready if that's the case, if they're not quite there?
Cool.
But first, everybody, as you know, the podcast is brought to you by our good friends over at Superbook Sports, the most trusted name in sports gambling with a direct line to Las Vegas. And now you can use the promo code MILEHIGH and score up to $250 with their first bet bonus. Win or lose, Superbook will match your first bet up to $250 with promo code MILEHIGH. Download the Superbook Sports app, enter the promo code, and you'll get $250 courtesy of Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. We'll be right back on Weekends with Swipa. And we are back. Pickaxe and Roll. Ryan Blackburn here. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Appreciate everybody for stopping by. Make sure to like and subscribe to the video if you are on about it. Really appreciate the love and support. All right, Swipe. Now we should probably talk about the playoffs. Denver has 7 games left to go before the end of the regular season. The seeding is sort of coming into focus here. There's not a ton of games left for everybody in the NBA. And the Nuggets are now at that place where you start really looking at playoff matchups. You could start looking at what things have gone really well, what things haven't gone well, and start really building out how things are going to go in the playoffs this year. So my question to you is, are the Denver Nuggets ready for the playoffs this season?
Yeah, they've been ready. They have been ready since the end of the Grizzlies game on March 25th.
Okay.
Time has come upon them, and this is the time to put the. I don't know if you watch Pokemon. When our powers,
I have.
Yeah, you watch Pokemon when they evolve and they get to a point where it's just time to evolve and get to a place. They're not Pikachu. They don't want to stay the same. They're trying to move up to the next level. Bulbasaur, get all the way up there. I think this is going to be it. I think the Nuggets are ready. I think they're confident. Jamal Murray is going to have had 2 total weeks off from the point where he's been sitting out to the end of the year. He's going to basically have 2 full weeks off of basketball, if not 3, by the time he gets to the playoffs. And so he should be ready. I think Jokic getting a wrist in order, he'll be ready. Aaron Gordon's like a tight end, man. I really think he's definitely like labored, but he's also built like a football player. I don't know how tired he actually is. People say like, his body been through getting beaten and all that stuff. I'm like, well, he's also the biggest dude on the court. Like, I don't know. Like, he just kind of is built like the Terminator a little bit.
Yeah, I think what they really should be trying to shut down. And I'm not sure why Malone went to it yesterday. Like it was basically hey, we definitely
DJ
need to win this game.
Yesterday. He was not good yesterday. Like
using him as the backup center, I think is where he's not the biggest guy on the court anymore.
Well, it's Zeke Nnaji. He's hurt again.
Zeke Nnaji's been out. I got to tell you, man, it wouldn't surprise me if Zeke Nnaji stayed out for the rest of the year.
Really?
Yeah. He might come back. Maybe he comes back and plays maybe the final couple games of the season, but there's really been no movement on Najee's health. And for
it's just so unfortunate. He just has not been able to stay healthy. Hasn't been.
Yeah, it's a big factor of it, but also he just hasn't really been effective when Denver's been out there. When he's been out there,
he was playing one last month. Stop it, Ryan.
The rebounding is a problem, and I've made sure to mention that it's not just him, but for Denver, they absolutely need better rebounding from their fives, and Aaron Gordon's provided that. He's provided stability. He's also just been better as a defender than Zeke Nnaji has been this year. And
Aaron Gordon's all NBA defender.
Yeah, no, for sure. But like Zeke is supposed to be out there for 12 to 15 minutes a game to provide maximum effort.
Yeah.
While Aaron Gordon is out there as both the starting 4 and the backup 5 at times and doing everything for the team and a much larger role at the offensive end, things like that.
Yeah.
And so you expect more success from him.
Well, did you watch? Because I watch obviously Locked In, but DJ was like his feet were in sand yesterday. He wasn't responding quickly to like balls coming off the backboard. He wasn't running. He was taking a while like to just gather his engine up to like run down the court. Like he was not grabbing rebounds. It's just like and that's why HG went to the 5 because I think Malone was just like, no, I'm not doing this. Like. And outside of him is Peyton. They don't really have another 5 they can go to. Michael Porter could do it. Michael Porter's a good rebounder, and he at least will compete. He's not like, at this point, he's probably Jokic, Gordon. Where's he as a rebounder? The fourth best rebounder on the roster?
I mean, are you counting DJ above him?
That's what I'm saying. Like, is DJ above him if he's...
Yeah, I mean, he might even be a better rebounder than DJ at this stage. I know DJ grabs more because he's camped under the rim, but Porter's grabbing more like outside of his area in a lot of times, and DJ's
What if
just
that
never going to do that.
actually unlocks the Nuggets bench? Porter at 5 minutes, and he just absolutely is a
It
dog
is
on the
it is a
inside.
curious wrinkle that they haven't ever really tried before. I know that a lot of that is just you want to keep the physical burden off of Porter more than just about anybody else. So like you want to play him at the higher positions, like
Yeah.
Peyton's going to defend some fours. Porter is eventually going to transition into being a full-time power forward. I'm not sure when it's going to be, but if you're a full-time power forward, at times you're going to have to slide to center. So like I think it might happen at some point. I'm not sure when.
You and always trying to put people in different positions. I'm never going to be a part of that movement.
He's big, like he's 6'10". He's gonna slow down. He's just not gonna be as
He's
mobile.
25 years old. Would you relax and stop putting 6 years on him? Sheesh. The man is like top 25 in minutes played this year. He's missed 2 games this year.
Back surgeries, man. He's been freaking awesome. He's been great. And you just know it's eventually gonna go that direction. And that's
He's
fine.
25. Will you let him enjoy his life? Trying to speak this ghastly nonsense over him.
Right.
Anyway, listen. I do think I understand the rebounding thing. I don't know. Like I said, off season, man, me and you are gonna come up with some, sugar, spice, everything nice. We're gonna put a whole off season plan together for Calvin Booth. We're gonna mail it in to Ball Arena, and then we're gonna hopefully, he's gonna read it through because there's some players I know we can definitely target that would help them. But yeah, we'll see, man. I do think the Nuggets are ready.
By the way, we were talking at Ball Arena about DeLon Wright and how his agent deserves like about as much criticism as you could possibly ask for because he was trying to get him to Miami. And clearly that was the wrong answer because he's not playing at all in Miami.
His agent was trying to get him there?
That's the reason. Like his agent deserves some bad stuff because like he put his client into a situation where he's not playing.
He would be getting crazy minutes in Denver right now. Could you imagine Malone with a defensive ace to throw at somebody?
I don't know about crazy minutes. I think he'd be getting Justin Holiday minutes.
I don't think he'd be playing over Justin Holiday. Probably Peyton.
So what are we doing here?
I think that it just depends. That's what I'm saying. It's I don't want to. So I think the issue is Peyton. We talked about this the other day. Peyton is growing. And so Malone has shown a tendency at times to go with more established players because they don't have as much learning to do. But I would say Peyton is growing, and I think that Malone has also been trusting him a little bit more. But anyway, we'll see. I do think the Nuggets are ready for the playoffs, though.
No, that's fair. I do think they are too. I think if there's one thing that I really had to point to as to like, I'd like to see this going forward, I need to see Murray back on the court. I know what he does. I know what he's capable of doing. I understand it. I know that he's going to peak in the playoffs. But one of the secrets about last year's playoff run is that Murray was good in Minnesota, good versus Phoenix, and then great, like legitimately great versus the Lakers and the Heat. And he had fantastic playoff runs against both of those teams, but it took him a little bit to ramp up. And Denver was fine in those first 2 rounds those first 2 rounds.
What do you mean it took him a while to ramp up? He had 40 game 2 versus the Timberwolves. He averaged 27 in that series.
For sure. But he also had some low points in each of those 2 series where he's taking a bunch of shots, not necessarily being efficient.
Well, he missed
minutes where he was on the floor where Jokic was off or bad
in the second round.
What?
He went 3 and 19, I think, from like games. I think it was 2 to 4 from 3, I think, and versus the Suns, and it tanked his true shooting.
Yeah, so like part of that is like okay, the 2-point shooting was still good in that series, but the 3-point shooting, Denver could have won that series in 5 if he has a good 3-point shooting game. And I want to like one of the things is that he could. If he gets onto the court a little bit, continuing to develop that rhythm, I want to see him playing some of those playoff lineups, especially the playoff bench lineups with some of the other guys. I want to see different combinations with Gordon at the 5, him at the 1, and then I want to see how Justin Holiday, Christian Brown, Michael Porter, Peyton Watson kind of feed off of that. Like,
do you think Justin saw this, and do you think this is a part of his agent? They're smart. I'm telling you, like. We talked about this, bro. I think Justin, for me, is one of the coolest stories of the Nuggets this year, right behind Porter and that, and obviously the Jokic MVP stuff. Like the dude was a nobody. Like people just casted him off because of the Hawks Maverick stuff. He's going to get real playoff minutes with the Nuggets.
He's good. He's a good player, and I do think that he's still kind of dependent on the 3-point shooting. Like he's just going to get opportunities, and he's either going to hit them or he's not.
Yeah.
But with the defense that he provides and sort of the connectiveness that he provides, he fits that kind of culture, and he fits what Denver does a little bit better than where he fits in other places. And he even gets more twos. Like one of the things that you sort of notice with a team like Atlanta or a team like Dallas is like, hey, you're going to get spot up threes. That's where you're going to get. That's how it's going to be. With Denver, he can actually like run sets and like DHOs and the fading DHO too that he had from like 19 feet. It was like that dude was moving to his right and just like nothing but the bottom of the net. That was a crazy angle and a crazy shot.
Yeah, it's like if he brings it, it's a good shot. It's just where he brings it from, and it's so quick.
It is an awkward like kind of gather because of, like you said, where it's like down towards his knees where he grabs the ball. It's interesting to watch, but.
He had a steal on Donovan Mitchell at the rim. Was able to get his 6'6" frame in there, and then was able to get the ball in one transition.
And Christian Brown also had the block on Donovan Mitchell. That was a great defensive play too. These guys are like, I think they are locked in. I think they're ready for the playoffs. I just want to see if there's one thing I want to see. Like we've already seen what Denver does in the clutch. We've already seen what Denver does with the starters there, and we've even seen like how these guys are going to defend. I just want to see Murray continue to drive a couple of good like sessions with the bench unit offensively. That's what I would like to see.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see it in a few days.
I'm looking forward to it. Should we go to Jokic MVP stuff now, or should we?
Yeah, please. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion on Nikola Jokic for MVP and other guys for MVP. I've had plenty of mentions ruined on X, Twitter, because of different conversations that are being had in my mentions on all of this MVP talk. It's been a complete disaster. And I'm sure Swipa, who wades into it even more than I do, has had his mentions ruined several times as well. It's been crazy. It's been
my mentions.
Yeah, no,
my mentions are clear, bro. My conscience is clear. I've been consistent since the start of the year. So ain't nobody surprised by me. Ain't nobody surprised by anything I said. But Luka, FanDuel, plus 500 odds now. Jokic, minus 700. Shea at plus 2,500.
That's wild.
Man, bro, this is what I'm saying, bro. This the way that Dallas fans and Thunder fans and Bucks fans have all like kind of come after Joker. Like, Joker's not having an MVP season. What has he done this year to deserve this love? 26, 12, and 9. Who cares? He did that last year. No one cares about these numbers. Look at this. 34, 9, and 9. Shea Gilgeous, 50, 30-point games. Giannis, 31, 10, and 6 on 60% from the field. Who else has done that? These are historically great seasons. What is Jokic doing? Oh, he's just closer to the basket anyway. He's a big. They run DHOs. That's literally, that's all they've been doing. And all this while, Jokic has been humming. 26, 18, 16, humming, 325, 15, and 15 games, humming. Oh, 32, 14, and 10 or whatever versus Boston. Oh, humming. Oh, 32, 10, and 11 versus Boston. Oh, humming. And it 23 triple doubles, 14 straight wins when he gets a triple double.
It's a lot.
Humming. And it's just like, oh, Jokic isn't doing this. I'm just like, y'all over here is worried about the. Stick to the plot. You need to get Giannis and OKC and Dallas fans to agree on somebody. That way y'all can put them in the mud and they can actually go against Joker. Joker is the runaway. But that's the point. Like, but people don't listen to me, Brian. I said this. This was going to be the reckoning. The NBA didn't want to get embarrassed. Again, they were embarrassed last year. Embiid is the only MVP. Again, this year's not his fault. Embiid is the only MVP to not make it to a conference finals.
It's wild.
You wanted to give him 2. Jokic had to do everything. He had to lead the playoffs in points, rebounds, and assists for you to finally dub him. Maybe he's the best in the world. best in the world.
He might actually be pretty good, guys. Like,
Right.
He might actually
Is he a top 5 player? Is he better than Max Kellerman, who I love? Do you want him over Kevin Durant?
Immediately came to mind.
Do you want him over Kevin Durant when it matters most?
Yeah.
What about Giannis? So this is what happened. So this year, Jokic has been incredible, but it's also I don't think he's been better in some way than last year. But last year was a crazy season, crazy, one of the best ever, and they were like, "Oh no, we're good. We can't give him 3 straight MVPs." And this year, it's not a makeup, but he deserved it. He's the best in the world, and I know like people were like kind of, I don't know, man, like even his EPM numbers. I don't care about any of that anymore. Number one, because he's leading the NBA and across all catch-all metrics across the board, and on top of this too, like he was destroying an EPM last year, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter. So for me, none of that stuff means anything. They're winning. Nuggets are a plus 11, like a plus 11 when he's on the court this year. He leads all 4 MVP candidates now.
Yep.
And he's not playing with Boston. And Jamal Murray's now missed 20. He's missed 21 total, but I think he's missed 24 total in terms of games. And he's also missed he's left in the first half of a game. Like, yeah, it's just.
He is like,
I'll tell you, bro.
Look, Joker is carrying as heavy of a load as he's ever carried. Denver, like outside of the 2021-22 season, he's carrying as heavy of a load as he's ever carried. At least with when Murray tore his ACL back in 2021, it was with about 20 games left in the season. Denver was able to survive to the end of that.
24 games. That was game 48.
Was absolutely grinding.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next year, Porter goes down, and that was the year where I think that was his best season ever, personally. I think that last year was great in a lot of different ways. He was worse defensively last year, but he's improved defensively this year, and he has been not as effective of a shooter. But the other stuff is like the intangible stuff of making sure that Denver stays diligent, making sure they stay consistent, making sure pedal to the metal goes down. Denver's playing the right way. They're doing all these things. They're staying, like the fact that they're even close to the 1 seed, I think says a lot about what Joker's done and a lot about how he has sort of helped elevate everybody around him. I posted something earlier today about the shot quality that Denver gets when he's on the court versus when he's off the floor. And it is so important what he does and what he means to the Nuggets that it's just hard to replicate that from anybody else in the NBA. Nobody can do what he does. Nobody can be the leading center and the guy that everybody attacks on a consistent basis in the pick and roll, and that they're trying to do everything that they can to tire him out and wear him down physically. And he's averaging just as many minutes as anybody else that's outside of Luka Doncic. And Luka's played 9 fewer games, I believe. So, look, this is a heavy burden that he's carrying. Denver should not be, based off of the actual like level of talent and health that they have, they should not be the 1 seed. OKC should be the 1 seed. And they're still in it. They're still doing what they can. And he's just been very, very impressive. And I don't think anybody should be discounting this because, as you have mentioned before, nobody's really done this for 4 straight MVP seasons. Nobody's really done this before. This is a level that he has reached at the pinnacle of his power that people are calling this the Jokic era now. People have thrown that around as a possibility. We're not going to fully know that this is the Jokic era until we're done with it, until we can have some sort of looking back time in terms of seeing, okay, what actually happened over the course of these last 5 years. But I do think that we are in the Jokic era, and I think that it is his time. And this is why he's going to get a 3rd. Everybody knows it. Everybody believes it. Even if Luka's making a late push, even if Shea just hit a game winner, even if Giannis has been as dynamic as he has. But I do think that every NBA fan really knows. Every NBA fan really understands. They can sort of sway themselves one way or the other. But it sort of feels like this is Jokic's time. And everybody's just getting in line.
And also, like, it's every 2 months, it's been someone else. First, it was Embiid. And then first it was Embiid. Then it was largely SGA. Giannis got about this long. He had about 3 weeks. And then it was SGA again. And then it's been Luka. And the entire time, it's like Jokic. That's a problem. That's just not how, like, I think people just are missing sometimes that, like, sometimes consistent greatness is it. Like, that's what Jokic was last year, and they just didn't give it to him because Embiid had a crazy March, and Jokic lost 4 games in a row. And I think a lot of this is, it's just like, Jokic has just proven to be one of the preeminent basketball talents of all time. And I think people sometimes get lost. Well, he had 12 points versus the Heat. It's like, well, but yeah, they dominated the game. You know, he has 16, 18 points versus the Heat the first time. Well, yeah, they dominated. He had 4 points and 16 assists versus Detroit. Is that a bad Jokic game? Could he have 4 points? Or the Mavs game where they beat him by 30, Jokic had 8 points in that game and like 9 rebounds and 7 assists. And then everybody was like, oh, his team is this team. I'm like, I mean, genuinely, do y'all like, are you still learning like what winning basketball actually is? Because if you're able to control everything from the center of the court and the defense is literally bending around you at all times and everybody's hitting efficiently, then yeah, you're going to cook. Like if the Nuggets hit their shots, their open shots at a higher clip than they do, then I mean, Jokic would average 15, and 10. And that would be the number, but Jokic just has to score more. So I think some of this is, bro, it's like Jokic is redefining some of what greatness is. And now Jokic is so good to the point where people feel like people are just glazing him. You know, like, oh, he's really not that. He's not that good. Like, he's not that much better than Luka. Yeah, but I know what's going to happen. I know he can go to the playoffs. They're going to get in these series with all these players. And then literally Jokic is going to be like, all right, it's time for me to just do what I have to do. Like, again, Ryan, he averaged 40, 12, and 10 on 67 true shooting in 4 losses last year. That's what I'm saying, man. Like, people are just so like lost in, like, he had a back-to-back 30-17 games and a 53-point, 11 assist, 4 rebound game.
It's pretty good.
So to me, it's just like, and then he had 41 and 11 and 4 versus the Heat in game 2. And then he had a stinker, but it was like 28, 15, and like 6 that he shot terrible, like 9 and 32 versus the Wolves. And those are bad games.
Guess so. I mean,
what do you think the order is going to be when at the end of the year? What do you think the MVP order will be?
I think that Jokic is going to win it. I think that's pretty clear. I think that Luka's making a late push. It's very clear, like, that he's, with the numbers that he's putting up and Dallas sort of moving up in the standings. If Dallas falls back into the play-in, I think that Shea will get it. I think people will have a hard time justifying Dallas actually, like, and Luka getting that credit if Dallas is falling back into the play-in. And it is still close enough right now that it's possible that happens. Dallas they have 29 losses. Sacramento's 31. Phoenix is 31. I don't think that they're going to fall back. They've won 7 in a row. They're 9-1 in the last 10. And so, like, what he's done to sort of elevate them out of that, like, that does deserve a lot of credit. In a normal year, or if Denver was kind of like not as good, if they weren't competing for the 1 seed, then I think that Dallas would and Luka would potentially have a case. So I think he's going to get 2. I think Shea's going to get 3. And I think Giannis will be 4.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Yoke. I think Shea gets more second place votes. So I would say Shea, and math terms are going to be irate. And then it's going to be Luka, and then a distant 4th, it's going to be Giannis. And then a distant, far out, beyond the world, the tree pines kind of tier is going to be Jason Tatum. That's probably what it's going to be. And Jason Tatum just went from, and that's another one. Jason Tatum was also getting his push. Everybody's gotten their push this year except for Joker. Joker hasn't really gotten a push. When do you think Joker got an MVP push? Like a media push?
I don't think he ever got one specifically. I think everybody just sort of acknowledges that he's the best player in the world and that he's always going to be ever present in that conversation. Most of especially with debate shows and
right.
every YouTube show, it's about, man, yeah, Jokic is the best player in the world, but look and like give credit to what this other guy's doing. Like what they're doing is amazing. And whether it's Shea or Luka or Giannis or before it was Embiid. And Embiid, like, if he was healthy for this entire time, he would have really impacted this conversation. Seeing the way that Philly has dropped off without him, like, not surprised, because when you take away your starting center, that you don't really have a game plan for when they go down. Like, obviously you're going to be pretty bad after that, but they clearly were impacted, and like seriously impacted by that. But hey, looks like Embiid's going to come back and he'll go back to being the best player in the world. It's crazy.
Yeah, we'll see, bro. It's what?
Oh, you must have missed the he'll go back to being the best player in the world.
Yeah, I just think this conversation is just funny to me, man. I think all players have a deserving case, but I'm seeing people even say, for me, Shea is my MVP. Luka. I'm just like, all right, bro. This is like when the election happened in 2020. Like, well, he's my president, but he didn't win.
Ugh, yeah, yikes.
But he did not win.
Yeah, it is true.
You can say whatever you want. Did not win, though. The votes were cast, and you were kicked off the island.
Man, see, now you don't want me to play the part of a Republican, because then I would say the R word.
Play the part.
Stop this. Stop it. We are not doing this.
Oh man, you're really tough to play yourself, apparently.
Stop it.
It's like when Eminem was in 8 Mile, got an Oscar nomination for playing.
I feel very confident and self-aware in my takes, and I feel very, very comfortable in my own skin when it comes to the political climate of America. I promise you. Oh God.
You should have seen it. I went to his house, saw a Rush Limbaugh documentary.
Oh my God.
Oh,
let's take a break. Let's take a break. When we come back, well, we're gonna talk about Poor Things, and we're gonna talk about maybe some other movie topics and actress topics that my guy Swipa has. We'll hang out and do some fun stuff after this. But first, let's go to this message from Kim Becker.
What's up, guys? Kim Becker here with Mile High Sports. Make sure you guys are following us on social media so that you never miss a Mile High Sports daily. Monday through Friday morning, we'll post a video hosted by me catching you up on everything you need to know when it comes to sports right here in the Mile High State. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, you name it, we're there, and we've got you covered for everything Colorado sports.
Oh, man. Nice save, Ryan, in the comments. Appreciate it. Thank you. Would be... Yeah, it was getting a little hot in here, man. Getting a little warm. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the show.
Who doesn't believe in climate change?
Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'm just gonna ignore that. On the last Weekends with Swipa episode, you set out some homework for me and maybe even for the chat to potentially watch something of Emma Stone's, where we credited Emma Stone last episode for being an incredible actress, maybe the greatest millennial actress that we have.
Yeah.
And you told me to go watch Poor Things, which I had not seen. And I decided, you know what, I need to go watch this. And I watched it last night and then finished it up this morning. Tell me about Poor Things and why you felt so strongly about me watching that work from Emma Stone.
Well, I think it just is an interesting. That's a very difficult part to play.
Yeah.
And so I think for her to like have to pick up the tools that's based on a book, because you have to read into a character that's in literature and then play a visual human character that's like, it's very difficult to transfer that from this is on paper, because when we read Harry Potter, for instance, we read any of these books, these are like people that have their own lives and like personalities, and somehow you have to like bring that to life. Sure. Which is why it's so difficult. So I think she just did. I think Lily should have won Best Actress, but she did a phenomenal job playing not to give the plot away, but playing a woman that was like on the spectrum, basically, and then having to like engage with society and like all the nuances and the way she was able to play into the imagery and the outfits and everything else. It's just a really, really interesting, good, and new kind of movie that's just a little different than what maybe it's a normative kind of experience. But what were your thoughts? Did you enjoy watching it?
It got better as it went along. I'm not gonna lie, it was hard to watch initially. I do
Right.
have, and I'm just turning on the light here. I do have a member of my family who is mentally retarded and
Mhm.
like has dealt with that for their entire lives.
Right.
And so it was a little bit, I don't want to say like triggering or anything like that, but I've gone through that experience and just understand how difficult it is. And like
Mhm.
it was tough to watch at various points, but I think rewarding given the evolution that she had, sort
Mhm.
of kind of going back through her like rediscovering things about not only herself, but just to rediscovering the world
Mhm.
and like going on this adventure, which turned out to be, it was very graphic. It was very worldly, if you'll say, and like there are plenty of interesting stories and cinematics were great. The uh, storyline was great, and I was surprised that they went in some of these directions because it was very like real is not necessarily the word that I would use, but there were some realness aspects to it and just how somebody like that would deal with her situation.
Mhm.
I was shocked by some of it, but it was really interesting. It was a really interesting thing. I thought Mark Ruffalo did a really good job
Always does a great
playing his
job.
character too.
William Dafoe did a great job.
Oh yeah.
Um, Margaret Qualley as well. I
Mhm.
think some of this, like she probably. I'm trying to think of another. Purple Rain is another one of those like on the spectrum kind of characters. Um, Shutter Island. You've seen Shutter Island
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio did an exceptional job. I mean, if I hadn't read the book, then you know I'm not going to ruin it. But if I hadn't read the book, I would not have expected all that.
Yeah.
Um, man, there's a what do you call it when somebody falls in love with their captors? What's that called again?
Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm. There's a movie that you might like. Um, it's called, brother. It is called. Where is it? I'm trying to find it for you, bro.
This
It
one wasn't
is.
fully like that, right? Like in terms of her sort of evolving beyond that, evolving beyond like because she was initially sort of captivated by Mark Ruffalo's character, but
Mhm.
not necessarily like sort of grew beyond that, and like as she gained a larger understanding of the world around her.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna have to find this movie for you because it's like a little similar, and I think some of this is like any movies that you're in a situation to where you have to develop. That's why I said she gets a lot of credit for that because that's like different. Like she won for La La Land, like some
Yeah.
musical.
Oh my god. Like, can you imagine playing two vastly different characters?
Right.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that
That's
was
what I'm saying. Like that's her bag is deep for her
yeah.
to be able to go from Crazy Stupid Love to La La Land to some of the other movies that she's been in to be able to get into this kind of demographic and to just absolutely dominate. Are you related to Marsha Blackburn? Who's Marsha Blackburn? I have no idea who that is.
Oh, she is a senator from Tennessee, I believe, or House of Representatives from
Oh,
Tennessee, who's
okay.
very Republican. And I say no, no, I am not related to Marsha Blackburn. I promise.
I think it's time to look into Ryan's life, if you ask me. Um,
Uh,
but yeah, I think some of this is, man. I mean, you could be distant relatives. Who knows? There's not a lot of Blackburns.
I guess
What's
it's
the
possible.
origin of your last name, by the way?
Say it again.
What's the origin of your last name?
It's Irish, Scottish. Like so, it's very much a like European last name. Blackburn Rovers is actually just the is one of the football teams across the pond. That's sort of where I think that family name came from.
Oh, okay. No German in your background, right?
There's a little there's a little German.
Figured.
Not a ton, but there's a very small amount of German.
Yeah, we are. But 42 Ultra, we are talking about Emma Stone. We're talking about
Yeah.
specifically, we're talking about Poor Thing. But Ryan, you need, and everything, I'm telling you, that movie is good. It's not the best movie, Poor Things.
Okay.
You have to watch Past Lives. You have to watch it. That movie is an excellent work of art. It's in Korean. And I think everybody in the chat, this is what we'll do. Everybody in the chat that's still listening to this with 54 minutes left, listening to a movie breakdown, if you are listening to this, go watch Past Life. We will be talking about that movie next week because I'm telling y'all, it's one of the best movies I saw in 2023. I have shared so many clips on my personal social media, not the one on the Swipa, on the personal social media, I'm telling you, man, just a really, really exceptional piece of work. I think in the summer we will definitely do this and talk through like movies and stuff. We're trying to make up content and everything else, man. But like I said, Emma, that's what I'm saying. To finish up that conversation, Emma Stone, she's excellent. I don't think anybody has to. Yeah, I don't think anybody has the reigns that she has, and so I think she's the best in the world at what she does.
She's great. She's the one that.
Like, I think back to like talk
Easy
show
A
or something changed.
And Zombieland and things like that, which were definitely like they're not her best performances or anything like that, but they're the ones that I like. I learned to love Emma Stone for her humor. Learned to love Emma Stone for just the way that she sort of played somebody that was exasperated, like just couldn't believe the situations around her, how sarcastic she is and how funny she was. But she's got depth. She's got a lot of depth, and it's very clear that she's earned this, and she's got so many different ways to go about a different character. And so, let us know. Like, it's not just past lives. If there's any other mediums, any other books, movies, TV shows, things like that you guys.
I have a list of unwatched movies we can choose from, and so what we could do is like Tomorrowland. I've seen Tomorrowland, but 3,000 Years of Longing, Kill Your Darling. It's very long. Very long.
Okay.
Grave of the Fireflies, Dorho Dorho, Tar, Maestro, a Serbian film. It's a movie, a Serbian film. Old Boy, From, Requiem of a Dream, The Good Lord Bird, The Wind Rides. There's 3 Billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri. I heard that is freaking
I have watched 3 Billboards. That one I do know. That one was great.
Really?
Great movie. Yeah.
I will watch that.
That was Frances McDormand.
Yep.
Yeah.
Steel Magnolias. It came out back in the day. It's a really good movie. Yep. The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. It's an animation movie that apparently is asinine. Oh, Gran Turismo. If you haven't seen Gran Turismo,
that one was good.
Surprisingly,
yeah,
it was really good.
I thought that was a great story. You couldn't believe it, man. Because there's so many of these video game adaptations that flop, or that are like not necessarily great. But that one was great.
Yeah, that would be a great one to watch. The Adults, The Choice, Grave of the Fireflies. Yeah, so that be my next one, because somebody said that's the really saddest movie ever made, and it's animated. That might be one of the ones I pull up next.
Great.
I love sad movies.
We're going for the sad stuff.
Yeah, I love sad movies. Anything that like has a real connotation to it, is stuff that I love. Okay. Let me see. Last suggestion I would have. I've seen so many things, bro. I have a whole list out here. If you haven't seen Lovecraft Country on HBO, go watch that. Excellent show. Oh, have you seen all the Netflix? If you like scary stuff, thrillers?
Not really. Like I mean, I'll do thrillers, but not necessarily like true horror stuff. But I mean, I'd watch it for the pod.
So, Bly Manor, The Fall of the House of Usher, and The Haunting of Hill House. There are 3 shows on Netflix. There are 3. The Witcher is great too, Ben. There are 3 shows on Netflix. They're all the same actors. Okay? They're all by one director. They're all connected.
You cut out audio-wise. Just want to let you know. I have not been able to see. Yeah, no, I got you.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hear you. Okay, go ahead. I can hear you. Can you not hear me now?
You said you can't hear me.
I can hear you, yes.
Okay. So it's The Fall of the House of Usher, Bly Manor, and The Haunting of Hill House. They're all on Netflix. Y'all, I'm telling you, go find these now. They're all on Netflix. They're the 3 same actors and the same director. And they have created a storyline that's kind of connected in all of these. Go watch them. They are freaking amazing. You will love this series. I'm telling y'all, that would be something to go watch. Witcher was so bad entertaining. I mean, look, The Witcher is based on a video game.
Season 3 was not good.
I think
season 1 was great. Objectively. Like season 1 was objectively great. I will go. Wait, what are you talking about? I can't hear you. Can you hear me? We're having some all right, well, we're having some difficulties.
No, I'm good. I'm here.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can. I'm locked in now. But yeah, I'm telling y'all, go watch that.
All good. We'll have plenty of content. Like I think what Swipa and I are really trying to get out of this, just in terms of talking about different things beyond basketball, yes, this is a Nuggets podcast. Yes, we talk about the NBA, but we can also talk about other things and have a fun time doing it. Swipe and I we're talking about expanding and trying to find other ways to bring you good content. So if you like stuff like this, let people know. It doesn't necessarily have to be on this particular show going forward, but there are plenty of other things that Swipe and I have a lot of fun talking about and enjoying. So I want to continue doing this. I think it's good practice, and like it's good for a well-rounded podcast where you get to know Swipe and I as people and not just Nuggets personalities.
Yeah, but yeah, shout out to y'all. We'll be back here talking about for real actual dive into past lives, Bly Manor, Haunting of Hill House, and the Fall of the House Usher. Go watch them.
My brother's been trying to get me to watch Haunting of Hill House, but I'll have to watch all three now.
Oh my gosh, they're amazing.
Everybody, that is going to do for this episode of Weekends with Swipa. Really appreciate you for stopping by. Gone for over an hour. Really appreciate it. This is good.
Swipa slams healthcare.
I love it. That's fantastic. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the show. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button on the way out if you like the content. We've got some more content coming up the rest of this week. Should be a lot of fun. We will talk to you guys very soon.